Hi there again. So last time we promised we'd go over some new JavaScript thing or programming techniques or different things about the language that we can use, especially to do with looping. And there's another thing that we'd have to go over, which is using conditionals. Okay, so what are conditionals all about? Well, they're basically because depending on certain conditions, we want a block of code to be executed or not. Okay, so um, they're basically if statements, what we call if statements. So this would be, for example, we have our simple condition. We'd have to know how to write those conditions as well. They can be expressions that we write as the condition, or they can be like a variable. We can have prepare that condition in a variable previously and just test that condition. What is when we have a condition, we have an if. It's basically the structure is if something is true, then we execute a block of code. Okay, so that's basically the idea. How would we write that? So we'd say if something is true, then the then we'll put it in these brackets. Okay, this is what it would look like. Okay, that's the basic idea. So let's play with this. So let's say our condition, it evaluates in the end to true. We'll have a bit of better examples in a minute, but at the moment we'll just have something that evaluates to true or false. Basically, is the condition. So we'd say if the condition. So if that is true, then we'll say true. It's true. Okay, we'll print out true. If not, and so then we can, if we have an if, then we could also put an else. So the else is only going to be executed if the condition is false. Okay, close the brackets. Okay, and it says prints out true because our condition, we set our condition to true. So if we set our condition to false, now it's equal to false, and we do that condition, that if else statement again, it's going to print out false. That makes sense. So we can keep going with this idea, and we could have if, okay, so let's make another variable. Let x equal 1. Okay, we can make a condition if x. Now when we want to see, so if x equals 1, we want to do something. Okay, until now we've been using the equal sign like this way we just did previously. That equal sign, in fact, what it does is it assigns the value 1 to the variable x. Okay, it's giving it that value. But when we're comparing things, we want to test if x is equal to 1. Okay, so that's a different kind of meaning in the language itself. It's not the same thing. We have to write it a different way. So in a lot of programming languages, they would write it like this with 2 equal signs. Okay, so 1 equal sign typically would be the way to assign a value to a variable, and 2 equal signs would be to determine if those two things are equal. Okay, so you can see just down the bottom it says true. True because x is equal to 1. JavaScript has another way of doing it, so you can see the 2 equal signs works. This does work, but typically we wouldn't use 2 equal signs. We'd actually use 3, because with 3 equal signs we're going to be comparing not only the value of the variable but also or each side of the equals, not only the value but also the type. Okay, so that means that, as we were saying before with the variables, they have their own type. So you could have one could actually be a string. A string would be like this, and or a number would be like that. Okay, so you can see with if we write this, if we say only with two equal signs, it's saying down the bottom here, it's saying that that's true, that x is equal to 1. But if we add three equal signs, it's false, because we signed the type of the variable here was a number. It's not a string. Okay, that's why it fails. Anyway, it's also always safer if we want, we usually do want everything to be exactly, not only just, the type as well. So we would use the three equal signs in JavaScript. Other languages don't have the three equal signs. They only have two equal signs. Okay, so that's a quick explanation for how we're going to do comparisons. And so that's what we're going to do, this kind of thing in our expression now. We could say if x is equal to 1, then we'll just print out x is equal to 1. Not very original, but anyway. Then we can do, also we could do, if we want to have a test for different things, we could say else, instead of just the else, we could say else if, and do another comparison. If x is equal to 2, then we could do something else. Okay, so we know in this case that x is equal to 2. That's what we're printing out. And if you could do some more, all the else ifs that you want to, for all the cases you want to contemplate. And then we could have a last else, which captures all the rest of the cases, okay? So this would just mean that x is not equal to 1, and it is not equal to 2. There we go. In this case, x is equal to 1. Okay, so if we could then assign 2 to x, execute this console. Right, let's write this wrong here, but you get the drift anyway. So that gives an error because I spelled console incorrectly. If we say x is equal to 10 or 19, and we do it again, x is not equal to 1 and it is not equal to 2. Okay, so that is a kind of an introduction to conditionals. In the next video, I'll explain the looping. Okay, how do we execute the same block of code an X number of times, or until a certain condition is fulfilled. Okay, so that's what we're going to see next. So I'll see you soon.